Yo, people. It's Coach Simmons on my first live stream. Let's see how bad I do today, right? Today I wanted to talk about something real quick. I wanted to talk about the transfer portal. It's a lot of people jumping in and out of the transfer portal right now. Well, you saw Coach Walker's video about the kid from Jackson State, Gardner. I think what the problem is going to be, a lot of kids are going to be looking at this, seeing that, hey, I can go up there, join any school I want to, walk on to any school I want to, and in a couple of years, go ahead and just transfer out. You got to realize where you go to, you got to get tape. And when you're going over here, going in and out of the portal without playing, you're not getting tape. So I really look at it like this. If there's no tape on you, you might as well stay where you're at. Looking at the portal right now, there's so many kids from these Power 5 schools that haven't even played. They're jumping in and out right now. And if you keep jumping in and out, who's going to offer you a scholarship? At the same time, I do believe that looking at these kids, it's not only the kids' problem, it's the coach's problem. A lot of coaches don't want to have time to develop high school kids. And I was talking to one coach from Texas State. He mentioned that we're in a moment right now, where you won't have more than 2 years before they're running you out of town. So there's no point of them trying to develop a young kid when they'll be gone before the kid develops. So I do like the way Jackson State is doing theirs. They are doing both the portal and recruiting. That way, when it's time for the kids to leave, like when your Houstons leave, when your Hamptons, your Millers leave, you have kids behind them who are going to take over. Like the receiving corps. Lanier's gone, I believe. Corbin may be gone, I'm not sure exactly. But you have your Rutgers, you have your Davis, you have your Weidmans behind them. So you have that developing behind them. So what are your thoughts about that? Do you think that it's going for the easy fix on the transfer portal? It's something that coaches should do? Honestly, it's like it's an easy way out. Then again, it's also a very easy way to cheat the system. At the same time, not only you're looking at the transfer portal, but also looking at trends. For a long period of time, the trend was the air raid system. You wanted to have passing team in general. And we saw from the playoffs with FAMU, FAMU wasn't prepared for that kind of system. The thing about the air raid is only two ways to beat that. Either you're going to have a bunch of cornerbacks or you're going to keep them off the field. And we saw what Michigan did with Ohio State. They kept them off the field. So that's one thing you want to look at when building a team, especially from that portal. Like we saw with, was it Jackson State? They built their team specifically to beat Alabama A&M. That's what they built them for. They saw the team that was the best, that won the title in the spring, and they built their team to beat them. Now, it'll be good to see what happens next year. We want to see if they continue upon their way of 100% pass rushing, zero coverage, man-to-man, which I think JLTB. That's right. Right. It is good for some players. A lot of players, if you're a grad transfer, I think the transfer portal is perfect for you. But the thing is, if you're, like I said, just a freshman with no tape, it's going to hurt you. And also, if you look at it like freshmen coming in right now, a lot of coaches, a lot of teams are just getting people from the transfer portal. They're not even recruiting anymore. So that means a lot of players who are your 3 and 2 stars going to end up in the SWAC, going to end up in the SCS because the FBS isn't going for them anymore. Let's see. What's this? Okay. So that's a good point. I mean, last year when the season first started, there are still so many players in the portal. Like right now, I know in Austin, one of the big things is with UT, a lot of their players are leaving. And some of their players have been in the portal since July. So you got to make sure that you're doing the right thing and make sure that you're actually not only doing what's an easy way out, but doing what's the best way out for you. Because the whole thing is you want to get film. Let's be honest. You transfer because you want to get film. You want to make sure that you can get transferred up and play in the pros. You know what I mean? So I think it will be good for a lot of FCS teams, especially right now with the HBCU momentum that's going. Reach out to some of these kids from Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, from the South who went to these Power 5 schools, but they got to understand, they got to fight. It won't be a guaranteed spot. And also, what do y'all think about the recruiting class right now? I know nothing's been established, but they love having the rankings out in the system right now. And I believe Jackson State's sitting at 133rd nationally. They only have commits, hard commits, from Justin Fortling, a 3-star receiver from Orlando, and Kalen Kennedy from Garden City, Kansas. Not exactly sure how high they're going to get on the recruiting system, but we're going to see on the 14th. Okay. Yeah. So I was saying right now, the high school kids who are the 3 and 2 stars, I think teams like Alabama, Pine Bluff, definitely teams like Prairie View, Grambling. This is their time to go ahead and get there. Well, well JLTB, I think Jackson State will actually, once it's all said and done, they'll be in the top 70 again this year. The reason why is because a lot of kids are going to wait to the last second, and those scholarships that they were offered are going to be gone. So they're going to need to flip some kids like they did Nugget, like they did Gardner last year. Kids who waited too long to go to Florida State, and they were pulled. Um, because right now, if teams were to pull the Kansas State approach, in Kansas State, they never went after any 4 stars. They went after nothing but 3-star players and then built them up. Now's the time for the HBCUs to do that because there's such a gap between colleges going for college going for high school recruits and going for transfers. Now, I also wanted to talk about basically what's going on in the SWAC right now. Um, I do see what's going on over there at Alabama State, where they offered Eddie Robinson Jr. the coaching position. Um, Got to get him in time. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the office hiring this man, but we got to wait and see what he can actually do. So it's one thing to jump on him and say, fire him right now. It's not something that we can do. It's not something that should be done. You know what I mean? So um, most coaches get 2 to 3 years to show what they can do. Alabama State has some of the best facilities in the SWAC. I do have a question about the kid that transferred to Michigan. You meant Baldwin? Yeah. So Baldwin. Let's see. I think he was on a couple of highlights this year, but I don't really think he realized Michigan was going to be a power running team. Because the other thing you got to look at is with Michigan this year, they committed a lot to that run. That's one of the things you got to look at. Coach Walker always says you got to look at not only fit but also style. And let me see if I can pull it up right now. I can show you. Okay, so Baldwin this year, Bowman, he wasn't the main option. I do believe if he would have stayed with Jackson State, he definitely would have been the main option. They probably would have redshirted Makai Whiteman. Um, I don't see his stats right here yet, but here it is, Dalen Baldwin. Well, he's from Michigan, so apparently his stats were. Okay. also you have to understand also that most of the kids in the SWAC or in the FCS are considered what's called projects. Yeah, if he would have stayed in the SWAC, he would have got a little more leeway, a little more play. Because honestly, he only had 12 catches. I'm sorry, 16 catches, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and one of those was a 70-yard touchdown early in the season. So it would have been better for him to stay where he was at. I think what he really thought was Michigan was trying to pass the ball a lot this year, but when he went over to Michigan, they were a run first team, so it wasn't something that he could do. Wasn't anything he could really do to get that play time and that game film. But hey, you gotta shoot your shot. So that's one thing you definitely want to do. Recommend. Okay. Yeah, like Kid Gardner, who transferring now from Jackson State. Yeah, he was a 3-star recruit out of high school, but unless he transfers somewhere within the FCS or he goes back to Florida, which is going to be hard because Florida actually lost their coach. So the person who recruited him last year is no longer there. Unless he does one of those things, can do one of those things, it's going to be hard for him to get on somewhere. Definitely, definitely. But if there's a receiver, I do see a lot of receivers being recruited by Jackson State, which means some of them are leaving. My only suggestion for them would be going to a pass-happy team. You want to go to a Texas Tech. You want to go to a Baylor or something like that. You want to go to a school that's going to pass the ball. If you sit there and go to a school that's going to run first, you're not going to get the run you want. You're not going to get the views you want, get the tape you want. All right, so what do y'all actually think? I know the title game is this weekend, and everybody pretty much is saying that Jackson State's going to win. They're going to go beat Prairie View, and they're going to beat up on SC State. But the question I have for y'all really is this. Do you see other teams making a leap forward next year? Because we all know FAMU is basically there. They've learned a lesson with the playoffs, and now they got to get better on certain angles. What other schools are going to make that jump up? Because it's hard to have a conference where the only 2 schools that are good, or 3 schools, A&M, are going to be in one side of the conference. So do y'all see Southern or Prairie View making a jump? Do you think it's going to just be a East-heavy conference for the next couple of years? Hmm. Yeah, so I mean, it'll be good to me if Texas Southern makes a jump up. I understand they play in a soccer stadium, but they still play in one of the biggest markets. If they can make a jump and host the SWAC championship one year, I don't think they play Jackson State next year. I'm not sure, but yeah, but see, Valley's in the same side of the conference though. Valley's in the Eastern Conference. So I mean, in the West with Alcorn, Southern, Pine Bluff, Grambling, Prairie View, and Texas Southern. Imagine if they had the SWAC championships at NRG. Or if somehow way they could play a game at Jerry World. I know that Pine Bluff it's not in Texas, but um, The SWAC championship in Pine Bluff is not going to be a big draw. All right. And another thing, basically, is once this early signing period on December 14th ends, what do y'all think is going to be the big thing after that? You're going to have a whole off season, basically, of people trying to figure out what's next. And I think that